Hello friends, and welcome back to this tutorial series about Spring Boot. And today we will be looking at Spring profiles. In real world deployments, profiles are one of the critical components of a Spring application, and Spring Boot is no different. So let's talk for a moment about why profiles are so important. So profiles give you an ability to flex your configuration based on the environment that the code is deployed to, and it's really valuable in the real world, especially when you have multi-environment deployments. And so think of the dev test, or maybe a staging environment, a pre-prod, a prod. All of these environments may have a little bit different settings when it comes to components that you are going to consume. And profiles in Spring are what give you the power to do that without creating multiple containers. And how you do that? It's Spring Boot provides .yaml supports natively, and we will see how this YAML file support will help you to create different profiles. It will give you an ability to allow properties to create multiple profiles among other things. And we will be seeing Spring.profile as a key, which is going to help us to configure different profiles. There are other ways to trigger config based profiles, so we will check those also, and we will see those in further tutorial videos as well. So activating a profile, uh, to do that, or to engage a specific profile in a Spring Boot application or any Spring application for that matter, is the key is Spring profile dot active environment variable, and you can also pass that as command line value. But in the real world, an environment variable is much more common, as you can set your runtime up ahead of time to have that environment variable. So let's take a look at what a profile will look like in an application.yaml file. So now I am in Eclipse, and if you remember in our last tutorial, last chapter, we created this server.port in application.properties and changed the behavior of our Spring Boot application. So now we are going to change this application.properties to a YAML file. So I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to change this to application.yaml. And since Spring has by default uh, support for YAML, it will help us to create different profiles here. Now to do that, let's get rid of this and let's start creating our profiles here. So we will say spring.profiles, and I'm just going to remove this, and I will say dev, and under this I'm going to define a different server port, server.port, and that will be for dev server. We will run at 8081, and to separate different profiles or configuration in YAML file, we give 3 dashes, and then we define same thing again. I'm just going to copy paste this, and I'm going to say that this is my test profile, and test server should run at 80, or let's say 9091, right? Okay, so now this is just giving a taste of what we can do with YAML file. It can go much more the broad and much more deep, and you can do many things with this. Just and this is just a demo to show you that what you can do with the YAML file configuration. So now since we have created this configuration, I'm going to create a package file. So let's go to terminal, and I am in my current project, that is initial demo app. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to create maven package, maven clean package, and I will let it run and create a package for me. So depending on if you are doing it first time or if you have done it before, it may take time or may not. Since I have already done it in my first chapter, it will be a little bit faster. So now the build has succeeded, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to execute my server from command prompt. So I will do java -jar, and then I will give the environment variable, that is spring dot profiles dot active equal to dev, and then I will give the path for my jar, that it is inside target initial demo app snapshot, and then I'm going to run it. So what I want you to see, that since I gave dev, so it's going to start my Tomcat server on dev server port, that is 8081. That is what we specified here. So let's stop it, and now let's try to give. So now we saw it started out 8081. So now I'm going to run that same command with test. So here I have given test instead of dev. Sorry. And let's see what port it gets started. So Spring is going to boot up. And this time it started with port 9091. So our application, same application running with different port with different configuration. And if I go at localhost, instead of 8081, now it's going to running at 9091. So same application. So profiles give you a power of changing things. So now let's see what real world scenarios can be where you can use profiles. So there are really a lot of real world examples of how we are going to leverage profiles in a Spring Boot application. One of them is most that I use is third party dependencies. They are one of the most common that I run into on a daily basis, that I really don't have another clear way of solving outside of the config server. So let's say that we are using a third party mail system to do all our email sending, and they give us a non-production as well as production server configuration. So while leveraging profiles, we can point to correct server URL so that we can execute production traffic against prod and non-production as you would expect against non-production. There is also a very powerful log level changes which we can do with profiles. In a dev environment, we may want to have log level set to debug, whereas for production, we are going to actually want to have it set to warn or maybe even error depending on our use case. Another example of a use case for this is internal service deployments. So those internal services, though I would solve through a service registry, there is a use case for which service you are pointing into in each environment. So your dev services all point to dev environment services and so on. And another valid use case that you might be able to solve with a config server is other internal resources that you might consume. Think of a messaging systems like Rabbit or Kafka or SMTP or LDB systems, or any other resource that you have internal to your organization. Profiles are going to let you point to the correct version based on the environment that you are deployed in. Now this has been just a taste of profiles in Spring Boot application, but I wanted to make sure that you understand how powerful profiles are in a real world scenario of deploying to multiple environments and having multiple deployments to those existing environments. So let take a look at profiles and dig in a little deeper, and you'll find that they are very valuable to you and your organizations as they are to mine. Today till this, and we will continue our journey through Spring Boot, and I'll see you in next video. If you have not subscribed, do subscribe. Thank you.